I'm never so popular except for when I'm recording videos. I swear, 5 phone calls is great. So, back to panels. I completely don't remember where I left off. I was talking about decisions whether to go to a show and be on a panel, and then I was talking about panels. So typically, what a panel is, it is a moderator and like 3 or 4 other mediums, and each person will go down the line and do a reading. Typically the moderator starts out, just kind of sets the tone for the event. Sometimes they will do a reading, sometimes they won't. Sometimes they will just introduce the guests. It's kind of up to them, what's going on. The most important job that the moderator has is a timekeeper. Now, that might not sound like much, but it is huge, okay? They will normally stipulate you have 10 minutes to do a reading, okay? So if you're on an hour-long panel, that means you'll probably get 2 readings in, okay? Unless the moderator decides to do one, or if somebody else goes long. So you have to kind of be appreciative when you're watching a panel that okay, they can't do an in-depth reading because they have a very small amount of time. And the whole point of being on a panel is to kind of advertise yourself for free so that they come to your booth to see you again, okay? So when I was at the panel at York, it was unusual for me to see that kind of panel. A lot of the ones that I've seen are in Lilydale in New York, and they are high caliber, extremely professional. Everyone kind of knows the rules because Lilydale kind of has its own community stuff that everyone abides by, all right? So if you're going somewhere different, ask about the rules. You're asked to do a panel. Before you get there that morning, you should talk to someone and say, hey, what's going on with this? Will I be expected to do multiple readings? Will I be expected to do short readings? Will I be allowed to use cards if you're a card reader? Will I be allowed to use stones, runes, if you're that kind of a reader? How is this going to play out? What is expected of me? Do I give my own introduction? Will they be introducing me? Should I give them a little index card? Or will I have the opportunity to talk to them before this panel and give them some information on myself? Especially if it's someone you don't know. A lot of times you won't really know who is giving the speech because it's probably someone big in the local community. You might not know everybody. So take a few minutes if you can. Get there a little early. Meet the moderators. Ask, how much time do I have per reading? Okay, because everyone kind of can gauge. But when you get in that headspace of giving a reading, you lose track of time altogether. And that's fine. That's what the moderator is there for, In Lilydale, they have the hand signals, like, stop, too long, or, you're getting close to time, or you have one more, you 2 more, depending on how many volunteer mediums there are. You got to kind of look for the signals. So ask, sometimes I go long in my readings. Do you mind giving me a hand signal at like 8 minutes so I can wrap up, okay? Very simple things that people don't think about until you're in the middle of a bad panel, right? So there were the British medium, a clairvoyant, which was really unusual. I've never seen a clairvoyant on a panel before, so I was really kind of excited to see what would happen. There was a couple. The lady was an angel reader, and the gentleman was a very spiritualist reader, which was pretty cool, not only singing male, but also a spiritualist male. And then the last person was a healer. So this was actually a pretty big panel, okay? It was an hour-long, time frame listed on the schedule, and I was kind of interested to see how this was going to go. The moderator herself was a medium. She ended up doing a quick introduction, setting the tone. Everybody was laughing and happy and joyous. Said a quick prayer, and then quick introduction. British medium gave a reading. Quick introduction. The clairvoyant asked somebody to ask a question. So when you're asking someone from the audience to volunteer information for you, if there's not a mic and a line, you need to be active in seeking volunteers, okay? Same thing with the healer. She kind of stumbled and was like, is there anyone with a question? We need to be a little more proactive. If the moderator knows that you need volunteers, the moderator should be able to start a line of volunteers, or help you to choose the volunteers, okay? I mean, that seems pretty rational. So if you know that you're asking for volunteers, ask for help ahead of time. Let them know, because the moderators seem kind of frustrated with that. You know what I mean? So that was interesting. It seemed like a lot of people had a lot more showmanship than others. For some people, that's pretty normal. I mean, some people really get into the fun, the theatrics. You know, that's part of the fun of this sometime. A panel, for my perspective, is more of a representing yourself in a professional manner kind of thing, attracting clients. So when someone's being goofy and a little, that doesn't make yourself look good, okay? So be aware if you're asked to be on a panel, or you're asked to moderate a panel, you know, is there a dress code? Because that was one of the things that was interesting to me, because I dress up, okay? Maybe not everybody does, but I do. But if you're asked to be on a panel and you know you're going to be in front of a bunch of people, wouldn't you want to dress up just a little bit? I'm not talking about like a tux. The gentleman wore a suit, which I was really impressed with. His wife was very fairy-esque, you know, very flowy, long, comfortable, but pretty clothes. You know, you could tell it was more of a dress up. The healer was like in a baggy sweatshirt and pants. Like, I certainly wouldn't have known her as someone on the street, you know, someone, you know, just walking around the convention. She certainly didn't dress up. The clairvoyant, a little bit, but certainly not much. And the British lady, to the T, all right? Gorgeous dress, gorgeous heels, hair and makeup done. I mean, I don't swing that way. She was hot, all right? The moderator dressed up a little bit, but, I mean, it wasn't even that early, okay? The convention didn't start till 10. So it's different when you have to be there at 8 versus when you know you have a panel at 10. That's plenty of time to get up, get ready, get coffee, and do something with yourself, okay? I don't feel like there are any excuses. Now, if you're the first showing at like 8:30, bring the coffee with you, because obviously you're not going to be quite coherent yet. Or maybe wake up a little earlier and make sure you're coherent, because this is your free advertising, okay? And that kind of frustrated me a little bit, because you could tell, you know, I did a scan of the audience just out of curiosity. It was a lot of women. It was a lot of older women. I want to say between like 40 and 50. And at things like these, people kind of clump together in groups. Like, you go with a friend, or you go with some family members, or, you know, very few people are rarely alone. So it was interesting to see everyone kind of clump together, and almost everyone was kind of dressed up to be there. Of course, you know me, I had my tank top and pants, no makeup, but, you know, I kind of wanted to blend in, you know, I wasn't there working. So to see everyone in the audience kind of more dressed up than two of the panel members was kind of like, you know. The other thing that the moderator did, which I thought was interesting, was she requested that everyone that had sunglasses on to take them off. Now, everyone has their quirks, you know, and she even said that. She was like, that's like an annoying thing to me, with people with sunglasses on their heads. She was like, please take them off. And that was fine. You know, before the panel started, you know, reminder, everyone, please turn your cell phones down or on airplane mode so that no one gets interrupted. But her thing was that energies bounce off of sunglasses. And I was like, really? Okay, maybe for some people they do. For me, they don't. And I kind of thought, that was so weird. It was such a put-off, you know? It was very strange. But this was the same person from my other video that insisted she was better than the other mediums because she was born with her gift. So it was interesting. But when they got down to the actual readings, the British medium was very good. You know, gave out some information. The person took it, said, do you understand this? You know, A, B, C. And the person was like, yes, I understand. Yes, I recognize that. She gave the message and she was done. All right, probably like 7 minutes, very quick. The second lady, the clairvoyant, she said this is basically her first time doing anything like this. She was very uncomfortable. She seemed very frustrated, just, with herself, with, what was going on. You could tell she wasn't very comfortable. And of course she had to have someone ask her a question. So someone asked her a question, and to me, it felt like a very generic answer. If someone is asking me a question, like, I don't let people ask me questions because I want to give them the answer that they need without being biased. With a clairvoyant, apparently she needed the question. But in getting the question, it didn't seem like she gave any unique, special things to the person. Does that make sense? Gracious, I think it was a health question. Something about her back or something. And she suggested trying a particular essential oil. And to me, like, I don't do that because Lily Dale is so strict about medical stuff. I don't prescribe. I am not a doctor. If I suggest you use something, it's typically not on the spirit side. It is on the, hey, I've also experienced back pain. This is what helped me. Perhaps it may help you. Okay? So for me especially, that was like a big, you're not supposed to do that. But her business, her thing. The angel readers were next. They were very energetic. That was definitely something that I would give big points to them too. Very energetic. Instead of just standing up behind the table, they came around the front, and the woman had her angel cards, so she was able to use her favorite tools, her angel cards. Her husband gave a message. She gave a message. They ran a little bit long, but they kind of fed off of each other. So that's something to be careful about as well. If you do have a partner, whether it's married or a partner, be careful of who's using the time. If you want to let one person use the time and be done, that's great, but they fed off of each other. So in order to do that, you have to be courteous enough to realize, okay, he went long, I need to be quick. Or, okay, he was quick, so I can take my time in finishing up our 10 minutes. I noticed they didn't look to her to time. Because the next person, the healer, who was the last person on the panel, and you never want to be last, dude. You just don't want to be at the end of the panel. Not because it's a bad place to be, but because you get stuck with whatever time is left. So if you're on a panel, be first or be second. Don't be last, okay? You could tell she was like, I need you to be quick with this one so that they could get a second round in. So the healer, again, had somebody ask her a question. And again, I feel like she gave a very generic answer. But that being stated, I am not a healer. I have not gone to a healer. So I really don't know what the standard for healers is. But again, she mentioned something with essential oils, soaking, resting, things that I felt like could have been looked up on Google. So that kind of frustrates me. I feel like when you're giving a message from spirit, it should be unique to the person. And but again, I don't have experience in that realm. This was simply my personal opinion from what happened. And it was interesting because after the healer finished, the moderator jumped in to that person and gave her some more information from spirit, okay? Not medical, not healer. She gave her information from spirit regarding a blockage about whatever the physical ailment was. And that was interesting because normally panelists shouldn't bounce off of each other like that without requesting permission first, because I feel like it seemed from an audience perspective that the moderator completely took the healer's person, pushed the healer out of the way, and said, here, I have some better information for you. Okay? And I'm not sure if that was intentional. It probably wasn't. But it really seemed like that, okay? Then the moderator did another reading, which, again, considering the time limit, was unusual, okay? And I really don't like it when people do this. She walked up the middle of the aisle to get to the person she was reading because she wanted to touch her, which is fine, okay? But she turned her back on absolutely everybody else because she was towards the back of the audience. which means that none of us had, like, so I was sitting towards the front, we didn't have anything to stare at but the panel. And the panel didn't have anything to stare at except her butt. So we could all crane around and look at what, we can't see anything but her butt, you know? She's turned away from us. If you needed to go touch an audience member to finish a reading, go touch the audience member, then back up to the front, give the reading, okay? It's not polite. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, we're serving whoever needs us, so maybe that person needed a little extra attention and a hug or whatever. But from an audience perspective, it was rude. Now, again, I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but a lot of people got to look at her butt. And then she had to go back because everyone else was supposed to do another reading. So at this point, we were actually running pretty darn close to when it was supposed to end. And you could hear the people in the back coming in for the next workshop or lecture. And she wanted to give everybody else one reading. So the British lady, who obviously was a lot more experienced, was good. Super quick, done. All right. The clairvoyant stumbled again. It was terrible. It was very sad. I feel terrible for that lady. No, I'm not giving names. The healer couple did another quick bang boom. I feel like, this sounds terrible, I feel like he stole the show. Like, he completely could have just been done and she could have sat there, you know, because she had her cards and she had to go through so quickly that it wasn't fair to the audience member that was even receiving the reading, because it was so quick and so kind of jarred and bounced around, that it didn't seem fair. And then the healer again, just, I don't even think she wanted to be there. Like, this was such an interesting panel. I don't even think she wanted to be there. She just was like, whatever at that point, really. And then, you know, the moderator kind of wrapped it up quickly, and the person that set up the entire expo came in and said hello to everybody and did a little greeting. So that was really nice. But other than that, it was an interesting panel. Now, how do I see a regular professional panel going? A, everyone on the panel should have this information ahead of time. Time limit. Are you giving your own introductions? Will you be introduced? Are there any rules? Do you not say anything about prescribing or essential oils or medicines, you know? Are you allowed to back-to-back read, you know? Or should you ask the person, you know, may I continue on this person? I feel like there's more information they need to get through and you ran out of time. You know, as long as you ask in a courteous manner, everyone's, I mean, yeah, 10 minutes is a really fast reading, okay? I don't care if you're doing runes or angel cards, 10 minutes is really, really fast. You're probably not going to get all the information you want to that person. You get your, you know, the evidence, you make sure it's the right person, you pass on the message. That's quick and dirty, all right? Quick and dirty, that's a panel. If you have the convenience of giving a 15-minute reading, you still want to do quick and dirty with your evidence end, you can take your time on the message, okay? Again, this is supposed to be advertising for you and your business, all right? So if you're not dressed to the nines, you need to be comfortable sitting in front of people at a table with a bunch of people staring at your face. I love people watching. So it was really interesting to watch the British medium, who had clearly a tremendous amount more experience, listen to like the clairvoyant next to her. Like, you could tell she was just like and playing with, you know, a fan or whatever that she had brought with her. Like, okay, this is bad. I feel for this person. This is bad. Just end it, you know. And it's interesting, especially when you're in a panel. Somebody is going to be looking at you. Don't pick your nose. You know, don't roll your eyes. I don't care if you think it is the biggest bowl reading you've ever heard in your life. Don't roll your eyes, because you never know who's going to be videotaping it for YouTube, okay? Also, if it's being videotaped, ask ahead of time, you know, will this be videotaped? Do I need to give my permission to audience members if they would like to videotape their reading if they receive one? You know, how does that specifically work? Because you're at an expo, obviously, you're under somebody else's rules. These are all things to ask. Another thing, bring a drink. I don't care if it's water, soda, coffee, whatever. Bring a drink. Because when you're bored and you have nothing to do, you can at least sit quietly while you're trying not to laugh at the other people, okay? God, there were chuckles. There were chuckles. The moderator of all people. Dude, if you're the moderator, you are not allowed to laugh at the panelists, okay? Well, maybe at Comic-Con. But at a mediumship panel, don't... It was bad. It was very bad. Yeah. So... even if you're at a terrible panel, if you're well-dressed and on tea, you can look phenomenal in comparison to all the other terrible panelists. And that's what I felt when I walked out of this, was, you know what? The one person that I would go to for a reading was the awesome British lady. She was clear. She was concise. She was confident. She was professional. She was well-dressed. I don't care if she's British or not. You know, these are things that I look for in a reader. These are things that I want people to look for in a reader and me, you know? Yeah, so it was hysterical. So if you can ever go to a free panel, if you are a reader, you should go. Because if you're interested in doing one, you need to watch a few first and be like, oh, dude, I don't want to, I'll never do that. I don't ever want to do that, you know? Or, hey, you know, these are things that I really like that maybe I could employ myself. And next year, maybe I'll ask to be on a panel, you know? Or I'll ask to moderate the panel if I don't feel comfortable giving readings. I mean, towards the end, there were probably 100 people in there. So it wasn't a small group. It was a big group because it was a free panel. And that's the other thing. Everyone in a panel is there because they want a reading, okay? I mean, I didn't really want a reading, but I wouldn't turn one down. It's free, you know? So you're surrounded by people in need. You need to be professional and caring and considerate of other people's feelings, because the one lady that got a reading has experienced a recent loss. She was very upset, you know, and, you know, all the audience members were around her giving tissues and hugs and patting her back and everything. But we need to be considerate that some people's wounds are fresher than others, okay? And obviously we'd know if we're giving the reading, but be kind. Be kind to everybody, okay? You never know who's going to be your next client. You never know who's going to be videotaping your eye roll and putting it on YouTube. So I highly recommend doing panels. I would love to do a panel. I think it'd be really fun. I'm not very good at short readings, so that would be something that I would have to be aware of, because normally I front load on the evidence, get to the message. So for me, I'd have to be a lot more judicious in picking out evidence to give to verify, because obviously you want to do it quickly. So we're looking for unique identifiers, right? Okay. And that way I could take my time with the message, you know, really get into the depth of it. And I think that is probably some of the mistakes that beginners on panels do. They front load the evidence. You want the bulk of your time to be spent on the message. So you want to look for unique indicators, okay? Do a panel, especially if it's free. I mean, and it was the beginning of the morning. It was an hour. And, you know, I walked around for like another hour or two, or even 3. I don't even remember. I was hanging out with Anna. But I recognized some of the people from the panels walking by these people's tables or sitting with these people getting a reading. Yeah. Why not? Do it. Do it. But for God's sake, dress nicely. Present yourself in a professional manner. Bring a drink. Don't be rude. Don't be rude. I don't care how ridiculous someone else's reading is. Hold it in. Hold it in. All right. I love you guys. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Talk to you later. Bye.